What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the CrownHoops Podcast. It's been a minute, but we're on to episode number 45. My name is Jordan Daly. With me, we got the full crew of Mike White, Stacey Collier, and Ben Okazawa. Say what's up, guys.
What's going on?
What's up? Welcome back.
Let's do
Yeah,
it.
it's been a few weeks. Like we've just kind of been so immersed with the playoffs and kind of paying attention to that just haven't really had time for this. It's weird having basketball back and trying to adjust, but 5 episodes away from episode 50. We got to get back into it. We got to get there. Let's kind of do some playoff updates to start it off. Me as a Celtics fan, Ben as a Raptors fan. We got to get right into that. Ben.
Or not. We don't even have to talk about it.
What happened?
I think, honestly, the Celtics were the better team in the end. It was pretty evident from the get-go. Like, Game 1 is a blowout. Game 2 is, tight all the way through. Same with Games 3 and 4. And I was just happy we made it a series, the Raptors, that is. And then, again, same thing with Game 5. It's a blowout. And then Game 6 was one of the better games in the playoffs so far. So it's definitely fun to watch. And then Game 7, I'm happy with the effort that we put forth. It was definitely not the best basketball we've played, but not the best basketball that the Celtics have played either. Just one of those kind of scrappy, everyone's exhausted. You're one night off of everyone played like 50-plus minutes kind of night. So it's going to be sloppy, scrappy, gritty basketball, which as a fan you love to see. So it was a really fun series to watch, and now it's just Giannis 2021. That's all in my mind right now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy when you look back on it. The Celtics were like 0.5 seconds away from taking a 3-0 lead against Toronto. OG Anunoby obviously hit that huge shot that legitimately had me in tears. And then to come back and, like you said, pretty much have like a close game almost every night. There were games where like the starters for both teams were on the court for like 50-plus minutes, and it was just insane to see those guys keep battling. It was so fun to watch all those games, and they all pretty much came down. Aside from a couple right to the end. But one big question I had for you, I feel like going into this series, everyone was saying that Pascal Siakam could have been the best player on the court or the second best player on the court. And in that series, he just kind of disappeared. I mean, as a Celtics fan watching it, it was mainly the Lowry and Van Vliet show, and Siakam was just kind of a supporting cast. So I'm curious, like, what kind of happened there?
Well, honestly, since I watched pretty much every Raptors game, I'd been seeing his decline from like January. I mean, November, December, I was really, really happy with how he had been playing. Obviously, he starts off the season with like 43-point game against the Pelicans, and it's like this is what we expected to see from him and more. Kind of stepping into the void that Kawhi left when he took off. In November, December, that's how it looked. He was hitting, game winners. He was playing really clutch, hitting threes at a ridiculous clip for someone his size. And then kind of post All-Star break, you just see him starting to decline as a Raptors fan. But still, it was a huge debate. I remember all throughout the year, everyone was talking about, would you rather have Tatum or Siakam? Tatum or Siakam? And then throughout the bubble, he was playing terribly. And especially when we played the regular season bubble game against the Celtics, he scored 3 points on like 1 for 16 shooting or something stupid like that. So it just seemed like on top of his play declining post All-Star break, the Celtics just always had an answer for him. And I think it was in large part due to Jaylen Brown on the defensive end. He locked him up, embarrassed him. At times I didn't even want to watch it. It was bad. But yeah, I mean, they just had the answer for him, and he wasn't quite what he was earlier in the season.
Yeah, and I gotta give credit to Serge Ibaka for kind of stepping up there. I mean, he was hitting like shot after shot, and it was getting me so mad. Like he was just getting these threes and going on runs. So props to him. But going into this series, one thing I also want to talk about is like I feel like Kyle Lowry was like easily like one of the most likable guys in the NBA. Like it was hard to find someone that like just doesn't like Kyle Lowry. Everyone just kind of respects him. What was going on with him this series in the flopping? He was like battling with Marcus Smart, trying to get like more flops. Like
I didn't even notice anything out of the usual. All of it seemed about right to me. And he's just one of those guys. When you're like barely cracking 6 feet, and you're one of those players who likes to bang out down low with big guys, like a lot of his points came in the paint, especially in that one game where he really took over. I think it was game 6. He had like 33, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was game 4, but definitely came in a Raptors win. He scored like 25 of his 33 points in the paint, something like that. So he's on the floor a lot all throughout his career with the Raptors, since as long as I've been watching him. So yeah, I mean, to me, it wasn't really anything out of the ordinary. I saw you crying about it a little bit in the group chat. But,
now I get how everyone feels about Marcus Smart, though. So I mean,
Yeah,
I can't really complain.
I'm so sick of flopping. Please stop it. Stop it.
Oh man, no, but like I gotta respect it. I mean, it just shows like how bad they want to win, and like I don't know, it kind of shows like the passion they have and that they're willing to do anything. So I guess I respect it, and it was definitely mutual respect between the teams at the end of the series, which was nice to see. But one last thing before I start asking Stacey and Mike about this. So obviously Nick Nurse went under a lot of heat with one specific play. It was towards the end of the game. Tatum had the ball. Tice was in the corner 3. Nick Nurse was on the edge of the court, kind of moving his hand around like he wanted the ball, trying to act like he was Tice. And Tatum gave away a huge turnover there because of it. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it was definitely pretty sus. It was if I was on the Celtics, or if I was a Celtics fan, I would be pretty upset about it. Obviously, in my position, I'm like, I'll take it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'd seen a lot of analysts talking about it, saying it wasn't that it was like frowned upon, I guess, but it's not technically outside of the rule book, which is why the NBA didn't, in its review of the game, didn't actually punish him for it. But definitely watching back over that, because I didn't notice until the next morning. Watching back over that, I realized that's a little bit suspect.
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to Jason Tatum though, because he took full responsibility.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's a real man right there.
Especially at 22 years old, doing stuff like that. That's impressive.
Yeah, but then again, Nick Nurse knew exactly what he was doing. He knew what he was doing.
He's the
knew
coach of
what
the year
would
for a
happen.
reason, right?
Yeah, he risked it all right there.
But yeah, Stacey and Mike, what are your kind of opinion on that series? Did you guys get to see any of the games?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Go ahead, Stacey.
Definitely.
You good?
Well, I expected the Celtics to win in 7. Of course, I always thought that they perimeter play with Brown and Tatum, Marcus Smart, and whatever Kemba Walker gave you. I thought they'll overpower the Raptors, but I knew the Raptors was going to be tough. They was going to be gritty. They played well together on offense and defense. So I expected to be tough. I expected the Celtics to prevail. The one thing that I didn't see coming was the struggle of Siakam. He's a big piece of why the Raptors couldn't get over the hump. And maybe I don't want to jump on him too early, but maybe he's not that number one option that they was looking for. Of course, they was gonna pay him because the strides that he made the last 2 years, but maybe he's not that guy. Maybe he's not that number one guy that they need. So all season they definitely gonna need somebody else that can take the pressure off of him. But if the series went how I expected it to go.
Okay, Mike, what about you? How are you feeling about that series?
Yeah, I saw most of the series, and of course the Raptors are always going to play hard. Like any team that's come off a championship, Kawhi or not, they have that experience. They know how to play when it comes to the playoffs. So I thought it was going to be a long series either way, but I figured the Celtics would win because they just have more options to me. Siakam playing bad. I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because I don't think that you saw the real difference between a superstar and a star, a budding star coming up. He's not ready for that number one role. Regular season, cool. But when it comes to the playoffs and you going against one team and they game planning against you, and your best move is, the post move spin, like we know what's coming, man. If I know what's coming from the couch, I'm sure an NBA coach knows. So, I mean, he definitely has a lot to work on in his game. It's expected. He's still young. He's still a great player. But like you guys said, Jaylen Brown, man, he locked all that up. Now most of your offense is coming from Van Vliet and Lowry, which is cool. But are they really going to carry you over a team that has, 4 starters averaging 20, Jordan? Five starters, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 starters. So, I mean, I figured the Raptors would play tough. I like the Raptors. I always thought they were a dark horse just because how hard they play, how they'll never give up. But we saw early in their series, before OG hit that game winner, we saw which team was more talented and who probably was going to come out. So it's really the Celtics' fault. It went 7, especially with that bonehead play at the end of the game, giving up that game winner. So I'm not surprised by it at all. One thing I will say about Kyle Lowry, man, over the last 2 years, if there's one player who has changed my impression of them in the playoffs and in big games, it's definitely Kyle Lowry. It just seems like whenever the Raptors needed a bucket for those 3 wins, he was able to get it, whether that be pulling up a 3 in Jason Tatum's face or getting to the rack against Daniel Tice or something. He always seems to be coming out. So I just wanted to make sure I said that. Other than that, man, Raptors, they don't have that guy anymore. They got everybody else. They got bench players and they got a coach, but they ain't got that guy. They can just give him the ball and tell everybody get out the way. Van Vliet can do it at times, Lowry at times, Siakam at times, but it's not to the consistency that you see, and you see why you need that guy who can get you over the hump. So, great series. Sorry, Raptors. Celtics moving on.
Yeah, and we'll kind of move on to the next topic as well. I guess we'll switch it over and talk about y'all's team, the Lakers. Mike, tell me what the Lakers are doing.
Hey, look, man, we just doing what we was bred to do, playing hard, playing defense. We came into the playoffs, there was a lot of chatter about our offense, about our defense. I'm even thinking about chatter before the season. Who's going to guard this guy? And blah, 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 blah. But I remember I told y'all one thing before the season started. It was one question I was going to ask people all year long. and that same question still has not been answered in 2 rounds. And I understand. It's only 2 rounds. But who's guarding AD? I know what LeBron going to do. But on an off night, AD still gives you 26 and 10. And that's an off night when he doesn't like to play in the floor. But we ain't going to get on that. The point is, the Lakers have turned it up. They found that switch. They turned it on. The bubble was a little, it was a little iffy there. They couldn't hit shots when they first came out. Everybody was real worried. Oh, the Blazers, the best AC we've seen. Dame. Heck, I was worried a little bit, but after game 1, we really came out and showed them what we could do when we clamped down on the defensive end. And like I've been telling people, man, LeBron and AD, they're going to give you what they're going to give you. If we can get one other guy, maybe 2 other guys to hit open shots, the Lakers are just going to be a hard team to beat. I know we lost Avery Bradley, but when everybody's playing defense like this, Alex Caruso, KCP, it's just a hard team to beat because, how do you stop Anthony Davis when you got LeBron James running the show? It's just a hard thing to do. So, first series against the Blazers, handled that, locked them up. Not really thinking too much about that. The Rockets series, I was a little worried about. I said it could either go 7 or it could be over quick. At the end of the day, they're running small ball. If they're hitting shots, they're going to win games. But got to give credit to the Lakers, the way they slowed down the Rockets offense, doubling James Harden, running guys off the 3-point line, making them score from inside the arc. And that's not their game. And we saw Blazers handled that, locked them up. Not really thinking too much about it. Man, I'm feeling real good where I'm sitting right now, especially looking at the Clippers, man. I'll let you talk about my team, and I'm going to just growl. I'll do y'all thing.
So you brought up Avery Bradley. I remember earlier on in the bubble when it first started, there were a lot of concerns going around, like how the Lakers going to adapt without Avery Bradley, and they were struggling going into the bubble. I remember their regular season games in the bubble before the playoffs started. People are starting to get a little worried about that. Do you think that's kind of on the past at this point?
It's definitely on the past. Like I said when it happened, Avery Bradley's great. He's a great perimeter defender. But we ain't lose Gary Payton now. We didn't lose Gary Payton. I felt like in the playoffs, the way LeBron's running his team, getting everybody, galvanizing everybody, when you get Rondo coming back, playing the way he is, and shout out to Rondo, man. I've been saying let's trade this dude for a while. But here we are in the playoffs, and playoff Rondo's here. He's hitting his threes. He's creating for others. He's playing defense. I seen him get a couple steals off James Harden's on ISO. So it's like, I think that's all past, man. No one's really thinking about Avery Bradley right now. Even though, hey, we would love to have him, but we're good.
All right, Stacey, how you feeling about the Lakers now living in LA out there too?
Yes, sir.
I thought that the Lakers. I was going back and forth about this, but I was thinking about it, say the least. I thought the Lakers wasn't that worried about the Rockets because the Rockets are kind of like the same way as the Blazers. They got great perimeter play. They got two dominant guards. But the difference between the Rockets and the Blazers is the Blazers had bigs that can play defense a little bit, block shots. The Rockets don't have that, and that got exposed in the series. I always said this, but I said this about the Lakers at the beginning of the year. What's going to get them over is they multidimensional. They can switch their lineup and they can adjust to whatever the other team doing. Look what happened. The first game they went big, and then that didn't work for them. And then from games 2 through 5, they went small, and they was very effective. And they locked in on defense. Of course, I expected LeBron to play the way he playing. AD expected that, but we saw other people step up. We saw Kyle Kuzma's energy step up on defense. Seeing Alex Caruso hit key shots, Danny Green hit a couple shots, and I'm glad that Rondo was back. That was a player that they need. They need somebody that know how to run the floor. They need somebody who know how to orchestrate the offense outside of LeBron, and he's going to help that second team. So the Lakers, I said they shouldn't be worried if they play their brand of basketball. If they execute their style, they can beat anybody, and that's what they've done. So I'm not surprised at all.
Ben, how are you feeling about the Lakers? Do you think it's their year?
I am a big Clippers believer personally. I know it's looking a little sketchy for them right now. I know. I peripheral as I saw it, but I mean, I feel like Clippers are just like the most complete team in the bubble, in the league. But man, I would never, being a Raptors fan and having that 1 seed over the Lakers or over the Cavs, LeBron's terrible Cavs, where it's just like LeBron and Kevin Love and nobody else whose name you know. I will never ever doubt LeBron in the playoffs, whether he's 35 or 45 or 85 and a half. Like, it really doesn't matter with LeBron. He just kind of has that switch. He turns it on. And when everyone was so like, I need to look into, you know who you are. If you said the Blazers were beating the
Talk to
Lakers,
him.
or if the Rockets were beating the Lakers, you're real quiet now. That's all I know. I never ever doubted the Lakers. I think whoever they get, if they get the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals, it's going to be real tough. I think if they get the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals, it'll be maybe 5 or 6.
Okay.
But I think the Lakers are definitely a championship caliber team, and whoever doubted them, you're looking real quiet right now.
And kind of speaking about, one of the teams, the Lakers eliminated the Houston Rockets. After they lost, I think it was Harden said that they're still 1 piece away, which is crazy, considering that they have Harden and Westbrook, which is just crazy to me. But yeah, they're still 1 piece away, and it's kind of obvious what piece they need. Mike, what did you say it was?
Hey, look, man, might need a center. I don't know. I don't know a lot, bro, but you might need someone to protect that rim. But hey,
yeah, PJ Tucker just ain't it.
He's 6'5", man. That's a lot of work for a 6'5". Regular season, okay, 1 game out the week, boom, you're gonna run center tonight. This is how we run it. A 7-game series with a skilled big. Like I forget what show I was watching, but they were saying, yeah, PJ, you can bump around with Steven Adams and guys like that who aren't as skilled, but you get a Jokic or a Anthony Davis on you, that's a lot of work to be asking one guy to really do. And I know they talk about, James Harden is tough and they're strong and they got heart, and they were saying that during the series. And all those things can be true. But at the end of the day, if 7-foot guy down there hitting threes, backing you up, hitting fadeaway mid-range jumpers, AD is killing you like that, you need to put some size on them. There's got to be a way you can wear them out. So to me, it's a center. But honestly, since we just diving into it, I hate to put it like this. I think they either need to move Westbrook to the bench. I know that's crazy because Westbrook's been a starter since what? But I'll get to it in the tweet later. But my point is, I think you need to either move him or move him to the bench because I just don't like that 1-2. I think Chris Paul and James Harden was a better 1-2 punch than Russell Westbrook and James Harden. Even though I said before the season, James Harden and Russell Westbrook could be the best statistical backcourt of all time this year. But when we get in the playoffs, man, it's like it just don't mesh the way I wanted to see it mesh. And granted, Westbrook played bad. And again, I'm gonna get into this later, but I don't know. I just don't think he's the right piece to pair with James Harden, even though their chemistry might work.
Okay. And I kind of want to open this up to everyone. Obviously with their head coach moving on, we'll get into that a little bit later. What's kind of the future for the Rockets? Do they start rebuilding? Do they kind of keep that core? Where do you see them going?
I think they have, like James Harden said, they have a lot of the pieces. Like Robert Covington was great for them once he joined their roster midway through the year. Like PJ Tucker, Eric Gordon, James Harden. I think you could move Russell Westbrook either to the bench, like Mike said, or just trade him. So yeah, maybe blow it up in that sense, but definitely, you've got your guy in James Harden. I don't know how much they're paying him, but it's too much to move him at this point. I think you just kind of stick with what you have. Maybe Russ isn't the best fit there, and maybe you try to move to a traditional center. But other than that, I think they should keep everything more or less intact. Eric Gordon too. I can't remember if I mentioned him, but it's a lot of good players on that team. So it's tough to say that they would have to like blow it up entirely.
Yeah, I'd agree. James Harden's definitely their guy, and they can do whatever they want with the rest of the roster, but Harden needs to stay.
Move on. Y'all saying bench Russell Westbrook. Y'all know how hard they'll be. I don't think Russ was still coming off the bench. I don't think he would, but they traded their one piece away in Clint Capella. They gave him up.
Yeah, I remember how shocked we were when that happened.
Now I don't know if he would have made that much of a difference against the Lakers, just because he's not your typical center that you're looking for to match other bigs. He's more like a lob finisher. But I don't know. I don't know what the Rockets should do. Trading Westbrook, yeah, but I mean, how are you going to replace him exactly? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, Russ is too good. When he's hot, he's one of the best players in the league. They definitely need to retool their roster. They need people that's going to be consistent. They need consistency. Like, you can't trust Eric Gordon because he gets hurt a lot. And, his offensive output, they could be all the way up, all the way down. You don't know what you're getting out of Austin Rivers, kind of. PJ Tucker, yeah, he's effective, but he's getting older. And low-key, he's an offensive liability. You can't really go for him unless he's hitting the corner three. This team is just weird. They're just really made up, and I don't know where they're going to go for it. But they do need to make, like, subtle changes, get people off the bench that's going to be consistent, that's going to be there night in, night out, because Harden can't do it all. We saw in the game he was 2 for 11. He was 2 for 11. What everybody else is doing. So I don't know, but they do need to make changes somewhere.
I'd agree. Mike, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think you can rebuild. You can't rebuild when you got James Harden on the contract that he's on, when you've been to the Western Conference Finals, twice now, when the only team that's outside of this year that's really eliminated you after years is the Golden State Warriors. Like, you can't rebuild off that. You got to swing for the fences, and we all know Daryl Morey is the type of guy who's not going to rebuild. He's going to try to put whatever's the best talent he can get his hands on, whether that would be through trade or signing or whatever, and putting it around James Harden. For me, I think the Rockets' problem is, and I kind of spoke to it earlier, once you chase some guys off the three-point line, are they really that much of a threat to score on you inside? Yeah, I mean, Eric Gordon can get to the rack every now and then, but I don't think anybody will qualify him as, a slasher or that type of guy. They need more versatile. Like, I like the Jeff Green signing. I think that's a perfect type of player for them that they need. A guy who can get to the bucket, who can knock down a shot, and who can defend. If we're getting out to the three-point shooters and every time your guys are coming in, they're just looking for the next three-point shooter, I mean, eventually a good team is going to stop that, especially in the playoffs. So to me, you got a lot of guys just standing around the three-point line as usual. And then you got Westbrook who can't shoot. I mean, how does that fit around a game like James Harden? And then last thing I wanted to add is Kendrick Perkins made a good note early. He said that whoever comes in the coach, and I know we'll talk about this later, you got to get James Harden easy buckets too. Like, the dude gets tired. And you got to get, screens off ball, get him going to the rack like he used to be in OKC, get all types of things, mid-range shots. If it's all this ISO and pick and roll, like I said, good teams are going to pick that apart when the playoffs come. So Rockets definitely need to retool. I like most of their roster. I think they could probably remove some of one or two shooters that they maybe don't need, bring in, some rebounders, some more versatile swingmen, and I think they'll be better. But it's tough when you got nothing but guys who just want to shoot.
Yeah, they definitely got to change their style of play. Because I remember Kobe said that they're not gonna win a championship with that type of style. They
That's
just
it.
not, and he's proving them right.
Debate over. That's it. Kobe said that's it.
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah, I'd agree. They definitely need to add some height. I remember when the trade with Clint Capella happened, it kind of left all of us speechless. I remember talking about that months ago when that happened. But let's move on to kind of the biggest surprise of the playoffs so far. The Heat eliminated the Bucks in 5 games. I don't think anyone saw the Heat winning.
I knew I should have picked the Heat.
5. Down went Giannis. As a Celtics fan, I could not be happier. But we definitely need to talk about how that happened and kind of what's the future with Giannis. What's going to happen now? Stacey, I'll start with you.
I think we all knew this going into the playoffs that nobody was really counting on the Bucks to win the NBA title. Well, we was counting on them at least to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. But, the way they built is just Giannis, and it's just a huge drop-off from Giannis to everybody else. And it didn't work for him. Eric Bledsoe, inconsistent. Chris Middleton, he'll disappear down the stretch. Brook Lopez, he's not a starter. He's not a good starter for this team. I like him off the bench, but he's not a good starter. And then everybody else is offensively handicapped. So this team, they just need to change. They got to change everything around. They got to change everything around for Giannis. They need a reliable point guard who can create offense, who can point to everybody and put them in proper positions. They need somebody like that. They need a consistent second scorer. I was thinking about this. I was pondering this. Maybe they should try to trade Eric Bledsoe and Chris Middleton. Because from what I've read on Twitter, Giannis is meeting with, the higher ups with the Bucks, and they talking about going into the luxury tax to build a championship team. And I think those two players, they paid them a lot of money. I think those two players are the problem, and they got to go. The one mistake they made before the season started, in all season, they let Malcolm Brogdon walk. They let him walk, and they paid Eric Bledsoe. I didn't understand that at all. It should have been reversed. But they just need to change that whole team, because now ain't nobody in the East scared of them no more. They just going to be a great regular season team, and that's going to be it for them. If I was Giannis, if I'm staying with the Bucks, I'm not signing an extension. I'm not signing it. I'm going off this 1 year, this contract year. You say you're going to make this work. Let's make this work. If it don't work, I'm moving on, because I gave you everything, and I played with an injury and all that, and it didn't work. So the Bucks, they definitely going to change that whole thing around. The only question is, can they actually do it? How are you going to make Milwaukee How you gonna make that attractive?
So let me ask you this. You said maybe get rid of some guys. What do you think kind of is the missing piece? Like, who could they bring in that would really make that difference for them, realistically speaking?
I don't know. Realistically speaking, I don't know a player like specifically, but somebody like a Chris Paul type player. If you could find a Chris Paul type like player,
or if you could find Chris Paul himself.
Yeah, because they need leadership too. They need a leader, and point guard is supposed to be the leader of the team. That's what they need. I don't view Giannis as like that leader that's gonna hold everybody accountable and all this stuff. And that's what they need. They need that. They need somebody to get rebounds. Defensive minded center, defensive minded power forward. Help spread the floor a little bit. Giannis himself, get that jump shot ready. Continue working on it. But they need that type of player. They need a point guard that's gonna be a leader. They need a second scorer, maybe like a Klay Thompson type, something like that. They just need to change a lot of things.
Okay, Mike, how you feeling about the Bucks? What do you think's gonna kind of happen next with them?
Man, the Bucks. So you go out to 5 City Heat. You know how everybody's been talking about, oh, does this team have that dog? This was a perfect series if you didn't know what the hell that means, to see which team had dog, which team didn't. That was the Heat. The Bucks is definitely the team without dog. I mean, to me, you win 60 plus games. You got the defensive player of the year and maybe the MVP. There's no excuse you lose in the second round. I'm just gonna be honest, especially in 5. It wasn't even a 7-game series. I'll start with the coach. Budenholzer's been here before. Coach of the Hawks, 60 plus wins, 4 All-Stars, number 1 seed, and they get waxed by Braun in the second round, I believe, or was it the Eastern Conference Finals? Either way, it's a small little history of his team underperforming. Even some people would say last year you underperformed. You up 2-0 on the Raptors and you let them come back. So, I mean, it starts there for me. I think they're going to look at that coaching position because, I mean, granted, yes, then he won Coach of the Year, and I know they won 60-plus games, but the Raptors fired Dwayne Casey fresh off a Coach of the Year award, and they won a championship the next year. So I don't think he's as safe as some people may lead to believe. Secondly, your best player. At the end of the day, I know he's the best player on the team, but, man, you got to have something else to go to. And it's crazy we keep having this talk about Giannis. You got to get a mid-range jumper. It's got to be consistent. People have to fear you at least a little bit from the three-point line. It doesn't, like earlier, the Lakers played the Bucks and Giannis hit like 5 threes in the middle of the season. But nobody cares about that crap when it comes to postseason because it's different. The shots are different. That basket gets smaller. You got to have something else to go to. So I feel like Giannis still needs to work on his game more. I feel like he will get better at that. As far as the other pieces, I'm done with Eric Bledsoe, yo. Like, you definitely should have kept Brogdon. Brogdon's a better shooter, better facilitator, in my opinion. He's a good defender as well. I mean, what do you really lose between Eric Bledsoe and Malcolm Brogdon? I think you gain with Brogdon. I think he's a more efficient offensive player. I think he has dog in him as well, too. I mean, I like Bledsoe, but he's just not getting it done. It was too many nights where the Bucks are out here looking for more scoring, and they just can't find it. As far as Chris Middleton, I know he has to be better, but I never thought he was a number 2 on a championship team anyways. He's a great guy. He's an efficient guy. I think he was he 50, 40, 90 this year? He might have been closer.
I think he was close. He was close.
So he's an efficient shooter and scorer, but is he ready to be the second option? And when your first option can't shoot, all that pressure is on Middleton. I mean, I know they got Lopez and they got Kyle Korver, but they're going to be looking at the all-star, to come in and provide. So I just think he was in a pair of shoes that was too big for him, honestly. I don't think he was ready to be a second option on a championship team. Like you said, they can make roster changes all up and down, but I think CP3 was great. That was what I was going to say. Also, 2 other guys I think could work perfect with Giannis. I don't know if it could ever happen, but Bradley Beal or Devin Booker. I mean, people who can really shoot off the, like, you have to honor that no matter what. And then you got Giannis down there. Both those guys have showed they can run point guard. They've run point guard at times for their respective teams. They can create for others. You have their great scores, their spark plugs. I think those are the type of guys that would, obviously a Klay Thompson, but he ain't going nowhere. But like Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, if you're not getting a point guard, I think you need a bona fide stud who can go get you a bucket, because I don't think Giannis can be your number one scoring option. I don't think that, because he's not knocking down that perimeter shot yet. So to me, the Bucks got a lot to work on, man. There's no excuse you should be out in the second round in the East. You know, I didn't think they'd win the finals, but I definitely thought they'd make it before the season started. So it's a lot, man. It's a lot. It's tough to see them go down, but that's what happens when you're not ready.
Yeah, Mike, I think you said that perfectly. It's kind of like Middleton's definitely not the number 2 guy. You look at all the other teams left, and they all have 2 bona fide stars. I was never high on Middleton to begin with, but I guess it's kind of a common consensus that he's good, I guess. I don't see it, but no matter how good he is, he's not the number 2 guy on a championship team. And that's 100% correct. They definitely need something else. If I'm Milwaukee, I'm scrambling. I'm doing anything possible to get that for next year. Otherwise, like Stacey said, Giannis is gone. Giannis is not going to stay on a team he can't win with. And I think he needs help. It doesn't matter how dominant he is. He can't do it all on his own. The only person that's done that in the past couple of years was LeBron with the Cavs. And you could even argue that he had Kevin Love. I don't know if you want to or not, but you could. And before that, it was Kobe. It's just very rare. It's very, very hard to do, especially where Giannis can't really shoot beyond the arc. He definitely needs that number 2 guy. Ben, how are you feeling about the Bucks?
Well, first of all, I think if you're a Raptors or a Heat fan, you got to be real excited about the Bucks losing so badly. It's just one step closer to landing that top free agent of 2021. And then otherwise, like, we have talked about this before. All 4 of us were not entirely convinced about the Bucks. Like, I remember, Mike, they weren't your championship pick, started the season coming out the East. Stacey, Jordan, I don't think for you guys either. They definitely weren't for mine. I wasn't scared one bit of playing the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals if I was Toronto or if I was Boston. Mm-hmm. So to see them lose to the Heat, I was surprised, but I wasn't shocked. And definitely, I think Jimmy Butler is one of the most likable players in the league, and for him to just be a leader and kind of have that trickle down to all the young guys in Miami. Like, Tyler Hero has so much heart and so much swag for a rookie, and so much confidence too, for him to just be on the court and do what he does as a rookie in this league. It's definitely shows a bit of that Jimmy Butler effect. Not that he didn't have any of that before, but I think Jimmy Butler's like competitiveness and not caring about what other people think is trickling down to all these young guys. So they've got some really good pieces, and for them to beat the Bucks, I mean, I wasn't shocked, but I was definitely a little bit taken aback to start with. And as for Giannis, like both you guys said, Stacey and Mike, a Chris Paul. I personally don't want this to happen, but if I'm just looking at it from like an NBA fan point of view, Kyle Lowry as well. Is someone very similar to Chris Paul. It's just a veteran point guard leader who can, probably shoot the 3-ball better than Chris Paul, I would say, and get inside and defend as well. So either of those guys would be a good piece to kind of hold down Giannis and make them more of a championship contender than they currently are. And then in that case, in the case that you land either one of those 2 guys, I think you hold on to Chris Middleton and he would be your number 3. And you would have a real bona fide contender at that point.
Yeah, I would agree. And this is the perfect time to kind of leap into our next topic. Kind of looking forward to what's ahead. With the Eastern Conference Finals, we have the Heat and the Celtics. Games start Tuesday. What's your kind of thought on that series? Obviously, with the Celtics, you have that young core of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, led by kind of the leadership in Kemba Walker. Daniel Tice has been outstanding for the role he was given and kind of stepped up. And then obviously we have Marcus Smart, who you guys know how extremely high I am on him. And then Gordon Hayward coming back by at least game 2. And then with Miami, like Ben said, you have Jimmy Butler followed by all these young guys that have something to prove, along with a couple other veterans here and there. I guess we'll start off with, who you guys see winning this series and in how many games, and what are some key factors for you guys going into this? Mike, we'll start with you this time.
So Boston and Miami. So I'm sure you'll like this, Jordan. I think I already told you this in a side message one time. I got Boston going to the finals. I got them beating the Heat in 7. I think it's going to go 7. When you look at how hot the Heat are, I think that keeps them in any series, because some could say they're the hottest team in the playoffs. Maybe. I mean, have they lost any games? They lost one game, right? So
one game
to the Bucks.
Yeah. So I think being hot at the right time matters. But I also think looking at both these teams, and first I'll start with the Heat since I think they're going to lose. They have Dragic, who's another vet. I wanted to bring his name up, who's been playing really well since they moved him to the starting lineup. Tyler Herro, cold dude, cold shooter, not scared of the moment. Duncan Robinson, another knockdown shooter. Jimmy Butler, I mean, Bam, how can I forget Bam? All-star, 6'9" guard, perimeter, knockdown shots. I mean, the Miami has a really, really good team. But when I look at the Celtics, I just keep coming back to what I came to before with the Raptors series. I just think they have more talent. I just think they have more guys who could randomly pop off and give you 30 or 40 in a night. Now, you got Jason Tatum. We already know what he represents. You got Jaylen Brown, who can lock up. He's going to be on Jimmy Butler. Let's just be real with it. He's going to be taking the bulk of that. You got Kemba Walker, who struggled in a couple of games against those Rockets. But let's not forget who Kemba Walker is, who I've always called him. He died Kyrie. What does that mean? He can get you 30 on any given night if that shot is flowing. So, I mean, just looking at all that, looking at the type of defensive team the Celtics are, possibly getting Gordon Hayward back, it's hard for me not to pick them in this series. But I will say, if the Celtics play around with the Heat like they played around with the Raptors.
Hey.
Look, no offense. They played with them a little bit. They played with them. I don't think, with what we're seeing in the playoffs right now with the Clippers and Nuggets, and I can't wait to talk about that, but what we're seeing right now, you can't play with no teams in the bubble, man. Ain't no crowd. They come in the hoop, and if you mess around, keep playing with the Heat while they're hot and they're confident and they're led by a confident player like Jimmy Butler, you can find yourself not going to the NBA Finals. So I'm choosing Boston in 7. I think the key is going to be the talent that the Celtics have. I think it'll outshine Miami, But don't play around with them, Jordan. Don't play around with them.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a huge thing to consider, though. And one of the things about the Celtics is being such a young team and just going through that, like you brought up with the Raptors in the past series. There's no way they're going to go into anything lightly anymore. Right. I think they're going to be full throttle the entire time. I really don't think they'll let up. 2 of my biggest concerns. One, as you brought up, the Miami Heat have some great perimeter shooters. You got Tyler Herro, Jimmy Butler, Duncan Robinson, who's extremely undervalued in my opinion.
Jay Crowder.
It's like anyone on that court can hit a 3. And watching the Celtics Raptors games, that was kind of our biggest downfall. The Raptors would just keep getting 3s, and it would keep them in these games. And it just seems like Boston couldn't get a hand in their face. I saw, Robert Williams get taken advantage of by Serge Ibaka multiple times. Kyle Lowry would go a few steps back, and they'd kind of just give it to him, and he'd be able to drill them. And it's just that's one of my biggest concerns is, and I think it's going to be a key factor, is making sure that Miami does not get hot from deep. I think that's going to be a huge thing. My second key factor going into this is a mistake that we made 2 years ago. Do not rush Hayward back into the starting lineup. Boston's gone through multiple games now without him. We have a chemistry. We kind of have a flow without him. Personally, I think the rest of this playoffs, have him come off the bench, be a spark off the bench. Marcus Smart has done a great job taking that starting role, and he's been huge for us this entire series. No one will work harder than him on a court. Doesn't matter what team you put on. He will be the hardest worker on the court, and I think that's what the Celtics really need. So yeah, I guess my two things is don't let Miami get hot from deep, and take your time with Hayward. He does not need to start. I think that was the Celtics' biggest problem a couple years ago. But yeah, I have Celtics in 6. Like you said, Mike, it just comes down to talent. At the end of the day, Miami's a great team, but Boston just has them beat, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm gonna be biased, but that's my call. Stacey, what is your prediction for this series, and what are some of your kind of topics?
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the keys first. Then I'm gonna give my prediction. The keys. I'm gonna start with the Boston Celtics. Kemba Walker is gonna be key in this series. He has to play better. He struggled against the Raptors. That was a game where he finished with only 5 points. Only 5 points. That's unacceptable, especially for somebody of his talent level. That he's definitely gonna be key. He got to be that veteran leader. You got to take the pressure off Jason Tatum, who's now a budding superstar in the league. Also for the Celtics, I'm going to be looking at Daniel Tyson, Robert Williams to try to neutralize Bam Adebayo, who causes a matchup problem for them because he's just gifted. He's a double-double any given night. And going to the Miami Heat, that is my key for the Miami Heat, Bam Adebayo. If he can get off on offense and he can help Jimmy Butler out and be dominant, because Daniel Tyson is prone to get in foul trouble, and Robert Williams is
Very true.
and Robert Williams is a young cat. Then they'll have a greater shot of beating the Boston Celtics, and of course, they got to hit threes. Like you said, the Celtics struggle with rotating on defense, getting to the three-point shooter. And if the Miami Heat knock them down, it's gonna be a long night. For my prediction, I'm honestly torn because the fan in me wants the Celtics to win. Why? Because Jason Tatum. He from St. Louis. You know, I support him. You know, St. Louis, that connection right there. I want to see him do great things. But the analyst in me, the objective side in me, picks the Miami Heat to win because I think that
I'm disappointed.
I think that I like their team. I like how they playing right now. They are the hottest playoff team. You got I think that they more multi-dimensional than the Toronto Raptors, which was the Raptors' problem. That's why I picked the Celtics against them. So I guess for this show's purpose, since we got to be objective and we are in the media here, I'm gonna go with the Heat in 7. But the fan in me, I want the Celtics to win. Tatum get buckets.
So you're gonna be rooting for the Celtics? That's all I need to hear, right?
The fan in me gonna be rooting for the Celtics. Yeah,
I'll take it. Ben, how you feeling about this series?
I think it's going to be a fun one. I'll go with my keys first as well. I mean, key for the Celtics pretty clear. You just can't get pulled into the Heat's kind of pace that they set because they're going to be down and dirty and they're going to be trying to get you to play, tough, gritty, like half-court offense with, Iguodala, Crowder, Duncan Robinson shooting threes. It's kind of traditional, hard-nosed guys like Jimmy Butler, same kind of thing. So if you're the Celtics, you want to use your talent as opposed to letting yourself get pulled into that kind of slower, grittier game. Because outside of Marcus Smart, I don't know how many of the Celtics are built for that. Kemba and Tatum are more of those talented guys who aren't, I don't think, wouldn't feel comfortable in that sort of situation. So if you can find a way to make your more talented players on the Celtics feel comfortable and feel like they've got space to breathe, then I think it's easily a Celtics win. And then key for the Heat is the exact opposite. You got to enforce yourself on the court. Get guys like Tyler Hero going. Get guys like Stacey said, get Adebayo going. And if you're Jimmy Butler, you just do what you've been doing all year, which is not getting wrapped up in the offensive numbers and just playing your own game. Because Jimmy truly doesn't care what he puts up, which is pretty rare in today's NBA. He doesn't care what he puts up as long as he gets the win. So he could score 5 points and still be a plus for his team. So that's kind of the key, is just for them to be doing what they've been doing so far all playoffs, and that's just play their own style of game. But personally, I think, like we've all said, Celtics talent might be too much, and Tatum is very clearly going to be the best player on the court, as was the case in the Raptors series and the Philly series before that. So I got to go Celtics in 6.
Let's go. I love hearing it. Before I get too excited, we'll cross over to the Western Conference. Obviously, that Western Conference Finals is not set yet. We've still got a Game 7 to go. Clippers versus Nuggets. Mike, you've been waiting. I'm going to let you go for it, man. Take it away.
I just want to know one thing. That's it. I just want to know one thing. And I'm piggybacking off Shannon Sharp, but I got to say, how is it that the team with Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Patrick Beverly, I've been hearing this the best defense. Is this better? Is this close to Jordan and Scotty? Is this the defense? For 2 rounds straight, I've watched Luka go to work, Porzingis go to work, and if Porzingis didn't get thrown out and injured, we might be having different conversation today. Now I'm watching Jamal Murray, and I'm watching Jokic. First off, let's talk about these fadeaway shots he was taking last game. It might be a travel because he's like turning all the way. Yeah. Whatever the case, like, where's his defense? Where is the defense? I was told I was going to see. Because that's what I want to look for. That's what I'm looking for. Because right now, the best defense in the playoffs looks like the Lakers. That's just all unbiased aside. Because I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing Montrezl Harrell get abused by Jokic. Now, don't get it twisted. I understand Denver's a talented team. They got multiple options, the emergence of Michael Porter Jr. But I'm just saying there's no way you up 3-1 against this Denver team and you let them come back. Championship teams don't do that. Championship teams close the door. We played the Rockets. We was up by 20, let them come back, but we won. That's the point. You win the game. I don't really care if teams come back because everybody in the NBA, especially if you're still in the playoffs at this time, everybody's talented. Everybody's good. Everybody can go on runs. But if you're supposed to be the dogs of the West, as I heard all year, if you're supposed to be, new king in town, Kawhi, you're not letting these guys come back from 3-1. You're just not letting it happen. So, I don't have much to say. We just sitting back waiting. I think the Clippers are going to win Game 7. I picked them to win Game 7. But anything can happen in a Game 7. The fact that you let it get here, to me, doesn't bode well for them. You know what I'm saying? If you can't stop Jamal Murray and Jokic, what you going to do with LeBron and AD? And the thing about the Clippers is it seems like they only want to play when it's the Lakers in front of them. Not knowing, look, the team that you're playing right now has no pressure on. The Nuggets had 0 pressure coming into this series because everybody knows Clippers top dog. So they playing free. They playing loose. They playing, like they're, how you say teams are playing like they're afraid to make a mistake. They're not playing like that. They're playing so loose and free right now. I think that's a scary thing going into a Game 7 when you giving the other team confidence. So, Clippers got the talent. Yes, you still got Kawhi. He's still a bad man. I'll never deny that. But they better wake up. Because if they lose this Game 7, I'm going to have a lot to say. That's all I'm going to say on that. All right?
Stacey, Clippers and Nuggets. Who's moving on here?
Oh, Goku just failed. He'll get back up. He got Ocha instinct. But anyway. But first, before I get to I don't get it. Like Mike said, they up 3-1. And you let them come back. And the Nuggets don't even care that they are the Clippers. They don't care they supposed to be the top. They supposed to go to the NBA Finals. They don't care. They're playing with supreme confidence right now. And that is scary. I just don't get it as far as the Clippers. And they better win this game. Because if they don't win this game, this might be a reach. But if they don't win this game, I don't see Doc Rivers coming back. I see him getting let go because it'll be another year. He has a talented team. He has not taken them far. He's not taken to the Western Conference Finals. Kawhi, outside of Kawhi, everybody been up and down. Lou Williams, I haven't heard much about him in a while. I'm very surprised Montrezl Harrell has been struggling. I'm surprised, Paul George has been struggling a little bit. And Pat Bev, oh my God. Oh my God. I'm going to skip past him, but
he wants to be what Marcus Smart is, just saying.
Well, Westbrook said he just be out there running.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's what he's doing. He's out there running. He's giving you nothing. He's fouling out the game with only 2 points. He's getting kicked out the game. You can't do that. You're supposed to be a championship team, and that all falls on Doc Rivers. He's supposed to have these guys ready. And they not. Now, I don't think the Nuggets going to beat them. I think the Clippers, they're going to get themselves together. They're going to right the ship, and they're going to win. But at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the Nuggets won. But I don't get it about the Clippers. I really don't.
Ben, what about you? How are you feeling about the Clippers Nuggets?
It's definitely, if I was a Clippers fan, I would be terrified right now. Because Nuggets have all the momentum. Goku's just getting back on his feet here.
Yeah.
He's returning well. But anyway, man, Nuggets have all the momentum on their side. Jokic is playing out of his mind. Like Mike said, like a guy built like Jokic should not be able to hit those shots, those kinds of shots he was hitting. That agility was ridiculous. And the Clippers, like they messed up, not closing out Game 6 with the lead they had. They messed up, and they should be terrified heading into Game 7. Being completely honest, like Clippers have been my championship pick since the offseason, since they landed Kawhi and PG. And throughout the season, I was becoming like increasingly confident in that because I've seen what load management can do, up close and personal. And then when they went up 3-1 on the Nuggets, I was like, this is the most complete team in the entire league. There's no way they don't win a chip this year. And now I'm sticking with my pick just because I kind of got pride going on, but it's a lot of bravado. It's a bit of a front because the Clippers might not even make it out of the second round at this rate because the Nuggets, like I said, have all the momentum on their side. Jokic is best center in the league. I mean, Jamal Murray's playing better than we've ever seen him play. He's kind of emerged, especially in that first round series, but in this series, he's playing well too. So if you don't have, like Mike said, if you don't have that defense that was supposed to be one of the better defenses that we've seen in a long time, then you're not making it out of this second round, and let alone beating the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. So, I mean, if I was a Clippers fan, I'd be terrified right now. And you never know what's on Kawhi's mind. If they lose this, he might just take off. So,
man,
terrified if I was a Clippers fan right now. But man, good luck to both teams.
Yeah, I want to bring this up. Their problem that got exposed in this series was when they're down, when they're out of it, when things are not clicking. Where's the leadership coming from? Who's putting who's holding guys accountable? Kawhi's a quiet guy. He leads by example. He's not really going to say that much. But who's going to be that vocal leader to get them together? And it seems like that they don't have that. And then another point I want to bring up is I heard Stephen A. said this, and I kind of agree with him. This is like the first time that Kawhi is feeling pressure, that people are applying pressure on Kawhi. They're treating him like a superstar. They're holding him accountable. They're saying that he needs to do more. He was low key with the Spurs. He was low key with Toronto. Everything was cool. Everybody loved him. But now, hey, you in LA, you supposed to be the team to knock off the Lakers. Y'all supposed to get that ring. You gotta show us what you got. So like this is like the first time that he's feeling that pressure, and maybe he's faltering a bit. We don't know, but maybe he is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this Game 7, and in my opinion, the Nuggets just want it more. They have that chip on their shoulder. They came back 3-1 in the last series as well. They straight up just want it more. Like y'all have said, Jokic has been insane. Jamal Murray's been on another level. Yeah, I mean, going into this playoff series, not this series, just the playoffs in general, the Nuggets were my sleeper team to possibly get out of the West. I think they have the talent to do so. They're proving that they have the motivation and the desire to do so. But at this point, I really need the Clippers to win because on Twitter with Matt Huff, I said that if the Clippers win it all, I'd get a Clippers not a Clippers, sorry. The Nuggets win it all, I would get a Nuggets tattoo with him. And I really don't want a Nuggets tattoo. So go Clippers.
Man.
That tweet. I want it right on your forehead.
Go Clippers. Maybe Terrence Mann can get in, get some minutes, ball out. But yeah, Stacey, I definitely agree. I mean, Kawhi is a quiet guy. There is no real set leader on that team, so that may come to hurt them. But yeah, I just think the Nuggets want it more. Man, but Kawhi in a Game 7 situation.
Tough.
This is tough. I'm going to say the Nuggets because I think they want it more. I'm going to leave it at that. But whoever wins it out, we're going to have a Western Conference Finals, and they're going to play the Lakers. Are either of them beating the Lakers? Ben, I know you already said Clippers are your favorite out of the West, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's tough to go against Kawhi, regardless of who's around him. And you've got PG, who, when he's on, like he was on the other night, Game 6, he was on. He was playing real well. And at times, he looks like a top 15, maybe top 12 player in the league. And then at times, he looks like a faker. He looks like a pretender. So it's kind of hard to see. It depends. Exactly. PG 13%. It's hard to see which version of PG we're going to get. But I know that regardless, Kawhi's going to show up without fail. Okay. So that's what kind of makes me more confident in the Clippers than in anyone else. But I also know that LeBron's going to show up no matter what, because I've been on the receiving end of that as a Raptors fan.
As a Celtics fan, I can agree.
Yeah, exactly. And AD, I mean, I called Jokic the best center in the league, but I would say AD is probably the best big man in the league, because you probably call him a power forward, but he's a bit of a unicorn as well. Yeah, just the things that he's able to do at 7 feet tall. I mean, the way he moves on the court is nobody should be able to move like that. And that comes from his obviously background of being a guard at some point in high school. But I mean, I'm not sure how Montrezl Harrell is going to match up at 6'8", 6'9" against 7-foot Anthony Davis. And if they try to put Zubac on him, I know that Anthony Davis is going to eat him for lunch. So it's tough to see with that series because, man, they just about split their regular season matchups, and they looked very, very even all throughout the regular season. So if it's the Clippers, I think it's going 7 regardless. If it's the Nuggets, I think it's maybe 6 to be generous to the Nuggets, probably more like 5.
All right. Stacey, what do you feel about this Western Conference Finals?
If the Lakers play the Nuggets, I don't see it going no more than 6, and that's going for the Lakers. The Clippers, that's tough. That's like tough because like Mike said earlier, it seemed like the Clippers, they just want to play the Lakers for some reason. They just want to beat the Lakers. They just want to take over LA, and I think they'll be up for the challenge if they get past the Nuggets. But AD is a nightmare for the Clippers. He's a nightmare for them. Nobody on their team in the front court can guard him, and AD is going to be key in that series. Not even LeBron. It's going to be the offense going to flow through AD, and LeBron is going to be that closeout player. I would say if the Lakers and Clippers play, I'm gonna pick the Lakers in 7. I'm gonna pick them in 7. But if the Clippers want to win that series, they better beat them in 6 because we all know nobody, and I mean nobody in the league wants to see Game 7 LeBron. Nobody. So they better get that job done in 6 games. But I'm gonna pick the Lakers in 7 against the Clippers, and against the Nuggets, I'm gonna say 5 or 6.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna agree with that. I would say if it's the Nuggets, I'll say 6 because the Nuggets are competitive. I'll give them that. Clippers, which is the series I really hope we see because I think that'll just be a much better series to watch. I would still probably say 6, and I'm gonna redirect it to Mike's point. Who is stopping AD? I mean, like Ben said, they just don't have the size to compete against him in any way, shape, or form. So I mean, Mike, I'll let you take it here. I mean, everything's been said though.
All right, I'll be unbiased here as I wear my Laker hat and the
Totally
camera.
unbiased.
Okay, so let's start with the Nuggets. If the Nuggets were to make the Western Conference Finals and face the Lakers, I'm gonna take the Lakers in 5. I'm taking the Lakers in 5. I've seen us play the Nuggets this year. Jokic wants no part of Anthony Davis. It's just that there's no parts he want with that. There's been a couple games this year we played them, and they've been close games. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to act like we're blowing them out, but he's had like a game-winning block on Jokic earlier in the year. He really just overpowers him with his physicality. So I don't see it. The Denver is very talented. But again, I just harp back on the way the Lakers are playing defense right now. It looks almost as good as back right at the end of the season when a lot of people thought we were at our peak coming off wins against the Clippers and the Bucks. It's that level. So if you're going to play defense on that level and you're going to get contributions from Kuzma and Rondo, Nuggets, that'd be a 5 game. Now, let's talk about them Clips. If the Clips make the Western Conference Final, if the Battle of LA goes down like many of us thought it would, all bias aside, I'm taking the Lakers in 7. I know that's probably a surprise. It's okay. But like you said, Jordan, I've stood by that question of who's going to guard AD all year. Again, I was skeptical of trading 4 players for AD, and I'll be the first to say he proved me wrong this season with what he's able to do on the court. Like I said, on an off night, AD is giving you 26 and 10 because even if you foul him, he makes his free throws. His free throw percentage dropped off a little bit since being back in the bubble, but he's a big man who knocks down free throws, who can hit mid-range jumpers, who can hit three-point shots, who can block shots, who can switch out onto guards and wings. That's just a lot of versatility. And granted, I know the Clippers have a defense, supposedly. I know they have a defense somewhere in there, but they don't got nothing for that. We saw in round 1. We saw how Porzingis was able to get what he wants. We're seeing in round 2, Jokic gets whatever he wants. AD is better than both those guys. So all he has to do really is bring it. And I think with the wins, how we're winning, how we're starting to build momentum, how LeBron is playing defense, because we feed off LeBron at the end of the day. We were talking about leaders earlier and what the Clippers don't have. Lakers are complete opposite. They have a vocal leader, a LeBron James, who's been there, who's been to Game 7, been to championships. And I'm not saying Kawhi hasn't, but like we said, he's not a vocal guy. Pandemic P. I don't like that sauce. So I'm going to go Lakers, man. I'm going Lakers in 7. I think we're peaking at the right time in the playoffs. I think our defense is going to be tough to stop. And Rondo is just a huge X factor coming off that bench for me. Like, Caruso's great. He plays defense, but he is not the playmaker that Rondo is. And Rondo has showed us that playoff Rondo is still a real thing. So I'm going to go Lakers in 7, man. It's Boston and LA in the championship, like I told you, Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna tell you a quick thing, though. Daniel Tice and Rob Will are stopping AD.
You said, what? What'd you say? Hey, look. Don't let us get
my
there.
God. I can't believe you just said, show's over. Turn it off.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's kind of just a classic, though. If it's Boston and LA in the finals, that's gonna be a
for
classic
the culture.
matchup. Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I just think it's set up perfectly for LA to face Boston. A team, LeBron met them in the Eastern Conference Finals. What was it? His last year, Cleveland. Didn't that go 7 games?
Yeah. It was brutal
with
series.
Jason Tatum. Yeah, that went 7 games. The young pups of the East. Now they're going against the big dog who left, making the finals. To me, I think it's set up beautifully. I think LA and Boston gonna meet again, man, and it's time for us to get number 17. That's what I see happening.
Boston's got to stay on top, but I do want to say, As a fan of basketball, as a fan of NBA, if the Celtics cannot win it this year, and this kills me because y'all know how I feel about LeBron as a player. I just don't like him because he always beats us. If the Celtics cannot win, I would love to see the Lakers win it this year because of everything that's happened with Kobe. I think that's like the perfect ending to the chapter. I think that would be extremely like consoling to Lakers fans. So I think that would be cool to see. But that is probably the only time I'll ever say that.
Hey, all right, so let's get into it, man. I've got a tweet that I'm going to read off to you guys, and it's kind of wild, so we're trying this. Xavier Garcia, you're getting a little screen time tonight on the podcast. So I'm going to read off this Facebook message you book, and I want you guys to kind of react to it. So after Westbrook in the second round of playoffs averaged a whopping 17 points on 45% shooting, 24% from three, only 4 assists, and 53% from the free throw line, Mr. Xavier Garcia posted on Facebook just one day ago. Let's try this again, America. Westbrook is the best point guard in the league. Case closed. Now, I chose this tweet because even a couple years ago, when Westbrook was triple-double king, MVP, people were telling me he's the best point guard in the league. And my contest is, you're not the best point guard in the league if you can't knock down a jumper. Point guard got to be able to knock down a jumper. I know he gets the assists, but if you're getting knocked out in the first round year after year since KD left, you shoot, what did I say? 53% from the free throw line, 17 points a game when you were averaging close to 30 this season. There's no way in hell people are even thinking about Westbrook being the best point guard in the league. So I wanted to ask you guys, is Westbrook the best point guard in the league? Is he top 3 anymore? I'll start with you, Jordan. Go ahead. Tell me what's up.
Not even close. I want to know this guy. What's his name? Xavier?
Xavier Garcia. Westbrook, best point guard.
Where this guy is from and what his favorite team is, because I'm assuming
it's Houston, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming he's from Houston or a Rockets fan. It has to be one or the other. But no, not even close. I wouldn't even say top 3 anymore. I may go as far as not even say top 5 anymore.
Hey, so look, before you keep going, I just jotted down. I went through the standings. I jotted down some point guards just to give people kind of a mind where we're at. So let's think about the point guards in the league. So I started with Luka, even though he's not a traditional point guard, he is the point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Trae Young, John Wall, D'Angelo Russell, Kyle Lowry, Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, Ja Morant, Jamal Murray, Kemba Walker, Chris Paul, Dame Lillard, Steph Curry. Those are just some kind of names. So where do you guys think Westbrook falls in that?
On the lower side of top 10.
Lower side? Yeah.
Whoa, oh my God.
I would say there's at least like six guys ahead of Westbrook in terms of point guard rankings, because he just, especially, past like 2-3 seasons, he just can't get it done. He can't shoot, and that's what it is. I think Steph Curry is clearly your best point guard in the league for the past at least 5 or 6 seasons. And then you got Dame Lillard, you got healthy John Wall, which obviously right now isn't the case. I think Kemba Walker's better than him. I think Kyrie is better than him. I think Kyle Lowry's better than him. I'm probably leaving people out too. I think I'm probably leaving people out.
Ben Simmons.
Come on, y'all. Yeah, no.
De'Aaron Fox.
He's not. Come on, wait a minute. He's not. Russ is not lower than top 5 point guards in the league. Come on, y'all. Russ, when he plays his very best, he's number 3.
That's when he plays his very best, though.
I'll put Steph number 1 and Dame number 2, clearly. And then Russ somewhere in that top 5. He's not. Come on, it's not 6, 7.
My problem with Westbrook. And don't get me wrong, I love Westbrook.
Yeah, same.
He's a stat patter.
Who isn't?
He's not out there to win games. He's out there to get a great stat line. That's my problem with Westbrook.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I'll say. I'm not saying he's not talented, and I'm not saying he's not one of the top 3 or 5, whatever talented point guards in the league. I'm just saying those are guys that I would rather have on my team, leading my team as the point guard over Westbrook.
So let me ask all 3 of you this. You have a team, you're headed into the playoffs, you have 1 vacant spot, point guard. You can have any point guard you want in the league. At what point do you hit Westbrook? You pick Westbrook for your playoff run?
For a playoff run?
Yep, playoff run. We're not talking regular season. Playoff run. You need a point guard. You can have any point guard. You can plug them in right there. Who's your first pick?
Steph.
Yeah, Steph.
Steph, right?
Steph or Dame.
Yeah.
Who's your second pick?
Dame.
I would say playoffs.
Playoffs, though. We talking playoffs.
Dame's cold in the playoffs. Don't disrespect him like that.
But he hasn't done anything in the playoffs.
It's because he got no one else on his team.
All right, I'll still go Dame. I'll still go Dame too.
Yeah.
Because the other guy I was thinking of for 2 also hasn't done anything in the playoffs realistically.
I'm gonna name some people that I think could, in the playoffs. So what about CP3? Would you take him over Russ in the playoffs?
100%. Yeah, he was who I was gonna say for number 2, but he
Okay.
also hasn't. He's not done squat in the playoffs. So I couldn't take Dame.
I think it's debatable, but we talking about for the playoffs. Somebody.
It also depends on who else is on your team.
Yeah.
I'm gonna trust Chris Paul over Russ in the playoffs. That was a game where Russ was. I think it was a closeout game with Thunder. He was like 11 for 30. I can't have it. I can't have it.
So we got Curry, Dame, and pretty much consistency CP3 over Westbrook in the playoffs tomorrow. That's 3. Now this is where. Go ahead. My bad.
And I might take in the playoffs. I might take Kyrie over Russ.
No, you won't. Trust me. No, you won't. You don't want that.
I was like, all right.
I might take Kyrie over Russ.
Trust me, you don't.
Kyrie's delivered in an elimination game against the Warriors. Clutch.
That was before he got all weird.
Barely ever been he's been to the finals 1 time and he lost.
Yeah, you don't want that, Stacey. Trust me. From experience.
So you gonna take Russ over Kyrie for the playoffs?
Bro, I take Brad Wanamaker over Kyrie.
No, you would. Oh, no, you won't. No, you won't.
Kyrie Irving.
Don't you do that?
Don't get me.
Don't you do that,
Stacey? I finally got
Wanamaker.
over it.
Stop it.
Stacey, I finally got over
Brad.
it.
His first name's Brad. Come on now.
I finally got over it, Stacey. Don't make me get back into it.
Not Brad Wanamaker.
Stacey, playoff Rondo or Westbrook?
Oh.
We talking like prime Rondo?
We talking playoff.
Like right now.
Playoff Rondo or Westbrook?
Oh, Rondo couldn't hit a jump shot either.
Rondo's shooting pretty well right now.
Well, I'm talking about back then.
Yeah, I know.
You couldn't hit a jump shot either.
I think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting thing to talk about, though, because obviously Russell Westbrook is like 10, 11 times more explosive, but he also sucks up way more of your touches. So if you're talking about like a complementary point guard piece and you've already got someone who's more ball dominant, 10 times out of 10, I'm picking Rondo.
I got another one for y'all. Ben Simmons or Westbrook?
Westbrook.
Westbrook over Ben Simmons?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
So good at
Yes, sir. I'm making you think. Look.
Ben Simmons is one of my favorite players.
He's so good. Dude, 6'10", true point guard.
Yeah, give me Ben.
We are named about 5 point guards now. Hold on.
Kyle Lowry, I would take over him too.
Oh, Lowry? Okay, we can do that. Lowry or Westbrook?
Lowry.
Hey, there was a time where this question would be wild as hell, but now you got to think about it.
Yeah, give me Kemba over him too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I
don't know.
It's the shooting. That's what kills me. It's the shooting that makes me like pause every time. Because, okay, Jamal Murray or Westbrook?
This year?
I mean, just Jamal Murray or Westbrook in the playoffs. If you could pick right now, we're going into the playoffs.
The way Jamal Murray playing?
Yeah, Jamal Murray.
Jamal Murray.
That's about 6. We don't hit about 6 point guard. That's
what I'm saying, yeah.
Ja Morant or Westbrook right now?
Oh, no, come on. Now we starting to reach. Now we starting to reach.
That's
we starting to reach.
I'm just saying. These things
that's
you got to think about.
Yeah, nah. That's a bit premature, but I agree he would be like 7 or 8.
Yeah. That's what I said, lower side of 10.
Yeah, because he just can't get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Like what did he,
Harden? You couldn't get it done ever.
What did he put up in Game 5 against the Lakers? Stat line.
Close out. No clue.
Was it less than 10 points? Because I feel like it might have been.
He in that game 4 of 13 and he put up 10 points.
Damn, 10. See, I'm just a messenger.
That's terrible.
Yeah, but he played good in the 2 games before that, though. That's
But okay.
Yep. But that's my crazy post for the day, guys. I just want to see you guys' opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely something we should go to Twitter about because we named about 6 guys that could questionably be above Westbrook, an MVP, and a guy who's averaged a triple-double in a season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, that was a good one. But let's close this episode off as we always do. I know this episode's running long, but it's been a few weeks, so justified. As we always do with the mystery player debate. I know Stacey loves this. Stacey's getting hyped over there.
Let's do it.
We got 2 players, both current players. We got player A, a point guard, playing in 35.4 minutes a game, 16.4 points, 8 assists, 7.8 rebounds, 2.1 steals. He shoots the ball 58% from the field and 28.6% from deep. Meanwhile, player B is a shooting guard small forward, playing in 33.9 minutes a game, averaging 20.3 points, 6.4 rebounds, 2.1 assists, 1.1 steals, and he's shooting the ball 48.1% from the field and 38.2% from deep. As always, who do you guys prefer and who do you think they are?
What point guard is averaging 8 rebounds per game?
But shooting 28%.
from 3.
My mind immediately goes to Ben Simmons.
Right, that was my first guess.
Yeah.
I was thinking of, but I think he averages more than 16. I think.
Man, that's 16 kind of his area.
Because you got 2.1
Think so?
steals as well. So it's
Yeah.
clearly
Yeah,
strong.
and he's shooting
defensively.
terrible from 3. Is it Ben Simmons?
Player A is Ben Simmons.
Okay.
Wow, look at that.
So player B. Oh wait, player B is Brown or Tatum. It's Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Dog.
Hey,
I should have had you guys guess
were
player
quick
A
this
versus
week.
player B first.
We were quick this week.
Yeah, that's good though. We needed that. So, okay, without knowing their names, just stats alone, who do you guys take?
To be real, we just got finished talking about a point guard who can't shoot. If I saw these blind stats, I might have immediately went with player B just because that 28% from 3-point line just sticks out like a sore thumb for
Yeah,
me.
it does.
So you would have taken player B?
Yeah, I would have took player B if I didn't know the players.
All right, what about you, Ben and Stacey? Without knowing who they are, just stats alone.
I think I would have gone probably player A. It would have been tight though, just because that 38% from 3 is looking real pretty compared to 28%.
Yeah.
But 2.1 steals, 8 assists, and 7.8 rebounds shows that he's like clearly a much more complete player all around. Not to say that Jaylen Brown's a bad defensive player because he's not in any way. But yeah, player A, just looking at the stats here, outside of the 3-point shot, just looks a bit more complete.
Yeah, I was gonna roll with player A2, better all around player. That 3-point does need to come up a little bit, but in a way, I kind of don't mind it because he's setting everybody else up. So he's setting everybody else up for their 3-point shot too. So I'm going. I would have went with player A.
Mike,
Somebody.
I appreciate you.
Hey, look, when I see point guard and I see 28% from 3, which means you can't stretch the floor, which means I can play off you. You better have 8 assists. You better have something. But like I said, man, just looking at it, I like wings, things, players who can, I talked about this earlier with the Rockets, Jeff Green type. I'm not saying, Jaylen Brown's a Jeff Green type, but 6'7", 6'8" could do a little bit of everything. That really stuck out at me. If I didn't guess Ben Simmons and I knew better, I would have thought this was Alonzo Ball stat line for player A. For real, I mean, he can't average that many points, but 8 assists, 7.8 rebounds, that seemed too off.
Yeah. But now knowing how these guys are, do you guys change your minds at all?
Man, it depends on what I need, yo.
Yeah.
All right.
It depends on what I need.
To just like bank on Ben Simmons' potential as like one of the biggest point guards, true point guards ever. Like he's so good defensively. He can grab 8 boards a game, 8 assists, like double-digit point totals. And you always have it in the back of your mind. It's like you can teach him to shoot.
Right. And it's like, with him, it's always like, yo, if he could just get a shot. If he can give me 33, 34% from 3.
Exactly.
Just give me that. Be a threat.
It's all Brett Brown's fault. That's his fault.
Brett, hey, what we gonna see?
It's all his fault.
Yeah, he's finally gonna have a new chance with the new coach. But yeah, we'll wrap it up with that. This episode ran long, so we'll call that an episode. That was episode number 45 of the Crown Hoops Podcast. My name is Jordan Daly. With me this week we had Mike White, Stacey Collier, and Ben Okazawa, and we will see you guys next week, week after, at some point. We'll see you soon. Peace.